Hey everybody, welcome back to Ogre Speed Shop. So we're making a lot of progress on the 1970 GMC. As you can see, we got the frame pretty much done. Got the diff back in. Now we're working on front suspension. And I had to buy a new control arm, so that's a new one, but I'm waiting on ball joints because the ball joints were wrong. You know, it was a loaded A-arm, but the ball joint's wrong, so I ordered those are on their way. This side over here, this side I'm just gonna clean up and make it look the same as the new one, which is what I did already. So this is where we're at with the suspension. I cleaned the cross shaft up to, and I'm waiting on seals for that. So that's where we're at as far as the suspension goes. What else? Got a bunch of parts over there that are cleaned up. I'd cleaned up the hubs for the rear end. So we got those done, got the axles painted. We got to do the fronts, but I'm not sure what I'm doing for the fronts yet as far as brakes. Hopefully I can go disc at some point. But other than that, we got to start on figuring out if the steering gear box is leaking and needs to be rebuilt, if I have to replace it. I don't know yet. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to get into the suspension and steering. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so here's our steering gear that came out of the truck. It is a Saginaw steering gear. I'm gonna clean it up, see if we can figure out where it's leaking from. If it's just the lines, it'd be great, but I got a feeling it's gonna be one of these seals, probably the front seal here, or the input seal. But we're gonna get it cleaned up and see what we find, and then go from there. I'd rather rebuild it. The rebuild kit's like 42 bucks. And that includes a new bearing, or you can buy a new one and I could change the ratio if I wanted to. I'm not sure what the ratio is on this one. We'll find that out later. We'll figure that out. You know, I'll show you how we figure that out. But yeah, so let's get this cleaned up so we know what needs to be done to it. All right, so I got the steering box pretty much cleaned up, just the areas around the line fittings. Trying to be careful not to get too much dirt in there, even though I probably will be rebuilding this. But I found one cap. I just gotta find another one for that size. That's a bigger size. And it's one of those things that, you know, people don't realize why we hoard stuff in the automotive world, because you never know when you might need something. So found a bunch of stuff in here, just don't have that one size, but you know, it's one of those things you always keep stuff on hand just for this kind of occasion. But anyways, that's where we're at with the box. So just got to finish cleaning it up. I'll probably go ahead and install it too. I still need a pitman arm and an idler arm. Those need to be replaced because they're both bad. And of course, the tie rod ends all need to be replaced. I cleaned up the sleeves, so those are all good. I just got to put them back together. But so that's where we're at with steering. Finish cleaning up that area right there, and probably go ahead and put it back in the truck. So, well, paint it. I'm going to paint it and clean it up, make it look better. And if I have to rebuild it, then I will. But I can't really tell where it's leaking until I have it hooked up and running. But at least I can get it cleaned up, painted, and make it look good. So in the last video, we did all this rear suspension stuff. And I was waiting on bolts to modify these. So I'm going to show you how I'm modifying the bolts to make them look like that from a 5-inch bolt like this over here. So we're taking one of these 5-inch bolts and we're modifying it to fit the shackles and the spring perches better, to where we got the full shank on the mounting points rather than anything going onto the threads. And I'll explain that a little bit more. I've kind of explained it a couple times, but I also did a short on it. But I'm going to show you how I'm doing that right now. All right, so the first thing I'm doing is just putting the bolt in the vise here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm just going to measure 1 inch in from this. The reason why I'm cutting it, well, I'll explain it a little bit more here in a little bit, but basically move it in 1 inch. I'm going to cut it right there and cut that off. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so once that's cut, I take my deburring tool here. It's designed to go over these bolts and, you know, anything round like this to clean up your threads. And I just do a quick shot right on there. real slow, just give it a nice little chamfer on there. At this point, because of the quality of bolts these days, the threads are never clean. They're actually pretty horrible, and you can't even get the, because I bought top lock nuts. You can't get this thing started on there. They don't thread on. So I use a thread chase tool first. I just chase the threads to clean them up. And then I'll go in with an actual thread and die, and I'm going to thread 5 more turns basically, so about 5 more threads. And the way I'm gauging it, there's a little hole on here. So I start that facing close to me this way, and I'll do 5 full turns to give me the extra threads I need to get it right up close to where that shoulder is fully on the bracket and not on the threads. So and yes, I don't have cutting oil, so I'm using PB Blaster. It works. There's 2, 3. I want to go back and forth a little bit every now and then just to clear the garbage out. There's 4. My table stopped moving. And there's 5. So now we got those extra threads on there. At this point, I take it over to the wire wheel. I just kind of clean up the threads a little bit, just to make it nicer and cleaner, and get all the little cutting marks off. But that's all it is to it. Then I use a washer on each side of it with the lock nut, the top lock nut, and we're good to go. So now that those are all cleaned up like that, the top lock nut, if I don't drop it, will screw right on until it hits its top lock, until you hit the lock up there. So nice smooth threads now. And that's it. All right, so you've got all the new hardware on the springs now back here. So that can be tightened down once we get weight on it. And we don't want it to bind up, so we want to make sure the weight's on it before you tighten those down all the way. It's cold. It's like 5:45 in the morning. And I got the heater going over there, but still, it's like 27 degrees this morning out here, so shop's a little warmer, but not over here. The heater's over there where it's warming stuff up there, but not over here. So we're good to go in the rear now. Just gotta get the axles and everything put back together. But I'm still debating on whether or not I'm gonna put new bearings in yet, so they're expensive. So, but yeah, I'm having a hard time talking because I'm cold. Let me get over by the heater. All right, so we got a coat of the rust reformer on there. I'm gonna do the satin black on this as well. So once that dries and cures up, then I can spray it with that, and that can go back on the truck. So, or the frame. But anyways, I got the bolts all cleaned up for it as well. So yeah, that's pretty much done. And once we get her running again, it'll be a lot easier to see leaks now because it's clean. So that's what we'll do after that. If it's needs to be rebuilt, then I'll get the kit to rebuild it. All right, so we got the steering box back on the frame here. So waiting on the ball joints. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with the uppers. If I'm going to buy all new ones, or because I don't know, buying ball joints is just as expensive as buying the full arm. So, but as we found out, the ball joints that came with the loaded arms are the wrong size. So I don't know. So we'll just have to see that. You know, we'll worry about that when the time comes. But box is on, and the idler arm bracket over here is on as well. So pretty much all the steering I can do right now until I get a new pitman arm, new idler arm, and new tie rods are done. I painted the drag link, center link right there, so it's good to go. So just need the other parts attached to that, and we'll be good. All right, well, we got the new ball joints in. Now the question is, are they gonna be the right ones? That's what I don't know, because they don't have dimensions or anything on the site. I'm ordering these things. It would be nice. feel heavy, but I mean, they're ball joints. They have to look like that. Maybe, kinda. Well, let's check them on the spindle. Okay, this is the real test. Hey, that'll work. Yay. All right. So not exactly like the old ones, but they fit the way they're supposed to, so that's good. All right. Yeah, so we get this first ball joint pressed in. Use my good old ball joint tool here. I just figured out what sizes adapters I needed. The nice thing about this, can you be quiet? Is it's got a hole through it, so it can run all the way up into there to get that set. So, but I gotta get this thing set up here. I think we got it all set. I'm gonna move the center line of the ball joint. There we go. Here's showing me the tool that way. She'll press right in. It's very awkward on the floor. This is definitely one of the times I miss having a lift. The shop I used to work at. I need more leverage. So I decided to put the control arm on the truck, so I had a good point to hold it in place. Now I wish I would have left it off and pressed them in with the press. I got this cool tool that I like to use. I end up having to use the press. It's going, just slowly going. There it goes. It's been a little crooked. All right. That's it now. There you go, there's one. And the other one I'm gonna do off camera. Last video I showed pressing these out, but you have to press out this brand new ball joint here. So, yeah, we'll do that real quick. All right, ball joint number 2 is on, and they're the right size ones. So, now I'm just waiting on the seals for the shaft on this side. But that side is pretty much done. I can go ahead and put all the grease fittings on it. Still deciding what I'm doing for the uppers. I've got them painted now. So, if I can reuse them, I will. But I'm gonna price ball joints first. But that's really all I need is ball joints now at this point. So I might as well just get the ball joints and then I can finish the front. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we got those completely painted and ready to go. I just kept the cross shaft, the flat black, because it kind of matches the rest of them. Like the one, that brand new one's painted kind of like that. I got the first upper on and I cleaned up all the shims and just reused the ones that were already on it. So hopefully it'll be somewhat close to alignment. So now we gotta put the other one together. So we're gonna put this together on camera so you can see how it all goes together. So we're gonna do that right now. So one of the things I always do when I'm taking suspension apart is I always label the shims so I know where to go back to, because they'll get you at least close to where the alignment was before you took it apart. So you should be good to go when taking it to the alignment shop, you know, good enough to get it there and drive it there. So just one of those things I like to do is make sure it's labeled, and that's left, right, or left, rear, and left front. So this one would be, you know, your right front and your right rear. So as you can see, these things are pretty nasty from just years of buildup. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean them up first. I'm not gonna show you all that because it's just kind of boring, but get them cleaned up and get them on there so we can get that assembled. Right, so the first thing we need to do is get the shaft back into the control arm. And the way you do that is just remove these caps. This is what actually holds it in there as well. So you have these seals here too. Oh yeah, and on the shaft itself, if you look, see how it's got a curve in it? That goes towards the inside of the car. There's a shim, one of the shims actually has a relief or a shape like that. So you want that facing out towards you or out this way on the control arm. So the hardest part is getting this to squeeze in here with the seals on there. It's really not that bad. So once you get it in there, you just kind of squeeze the seal into the hole on one side, and it gives you enough clearance to pop it in on the other side. Just like that. So simple as that. Now with these, so with the caps, I like to get them started, and then you want to do them equally. You want to do it on the car though, not on the truck. So we're going to get this bolted down, and we'll put the caps on over there. So I just want to apologize ahead of time for the rudeness of the duck. He's being loud as usual. So as you see the shape of that bar. That goes towards these shims that have the arch in them. So we get that tightened down first. So that way it stays in place. These are 7/8 headed nuts. So if you tighten the side down that has the least amount of shims, it'll tighten both of them down so they don't fall out as you're doing it. Okay, so that's somewhat tight. So since these are already shimmed to where we want them to, we can go ahead and install those tight and tighten them down fully. Torque them in, so they just need to be tight. All right, so that's good. So now the way we do these caps, these end caps for the cross shaft, is I'm going to start them in there. I think I'm going to mark these ones because these have straight Zerk fittings on them. But I'm going to mark them, and then I'm just going to do like one revolution per side to keep it centered, because these are both regular right-hand threads. So that it's going to actually throw this offset here. So you can actually do some adjustment with, caster maybe, using these, but they were centered to begin with, so I'm going to center them now. So I just want to get it started to where I can pull on it, doesn't fall off. So right about there on that one. I'm going to take a paint marker and mark it so I know where we're at. All right, so that's that side. Do the same with this side. We can actually just kind of move this over a little bit. Give us a little more room to start it. Okay, so that started right there. I'll go ahead and mark this one as well. And I'm just going to screw them in one turn at a time. Or maybe two at a time, because I know I got to go at least 5 or 6. I already lost count because I'm talking. I'm going to start with 4. One, 2, 3, and 4. So still not even close to hitting yet, so I'm gonna do a couple more. I'm gonna do one more on each side and see where we're at. Okay, so the other thing you gotta factor in is these actually screw into the control arms as well. So they're screwed onto the shaft and they screw into the end of the control arm. So you gotta make sure those get lined up to where you want it, to where it's centered. So I think right around there is gonna be pretty good. So I'm gonna go in for my 6th turn here and see where that puts us. So that got stuck. And those both got stuck about the same spot. So I think we're pretty good center now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten those back in with an 1 7/16. Just gonna do it like 1 or 2 turns at a time, just like I did on that side. You can see that part. But so all I'm gonna do is just like 1 or 2 turns at a time, and until we get these bottomed out onto the edge of the control arm. right, so that side's tight. This side's a little more difficult because you actually have to hold the control arm down. It's really not hard. I mean, it's taking a little bit of effort, but it's not that hard to screw on there. Go until it bottoms out. A nice little turn. You see, we still got plenty of movement in there, just like the bottom. So just like the lower one, it moves just as easily. Once we fill it up with grease, it'll give it a little bit more, strength too, and I can always tighten this in a little bit further if I need to, but I shouldn't need to. So that's all there is to installing these. We got to put the bump stop back in. I'm going to condition them first, put in some rubber conditioner and pop them back in there, and we'll have those in there. And then we just need the upper ball joints, and haven't ordered those yet. But I'll get those ordered soon. But the front suspension is pretty much it for that. Got to do basically the same thing on the lower as we did here once I get the new seals in. So these seals that go on the inside of here where they hold the grease in. Let me show you down in this one. So these seals right up in here. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's like a grease seal right there, that rubber seal. So I'm just waiting on those to get in, and we'll put those on, and the front suspension will be done, mostly. All right, so we got the bump stops installed, as you can see, on both sides. And the best way I've found to do that is just use a little Vaseline, or equivalent, some petroleum jelly. Stick it up in there and just, boom, pop it down in there, slam it down using the stop. So it worked pretty good and went right on, and the Vaseline will actually help condition rubber too. So we just gotta wait on the seals for that shaft right there. And other than that, we are good on this. All right, well, we got something in the mail today, finally. It's a couple days delayed. So let's get her open so we can get the seals installed on to our shafts and get our control arm on there. All right, so we can get these control arms on here with the new seals. So those are the new seals right there. And they go on, as far as I think, they go on small side first. So they just go on there like that. So that way when you screw the caps in, it seals around that edge right there. So let's get these on here. So just before this, I was messing around with it and I smashed my phone. It did not feel good. I had the shop pretty warmed up to get my wife to leave. She took the car, so that means I had to open the garage up. Let all the cold air back in. But it was 5 degrees this morning. All right, let's hope this goes on easy. Get some grease. In case you're wondering this, it's very cold out here. All right, let's see if we can get this to slide on there now. Tear the new freaking seal. There you go. Oh. All right, so we're gonna do this just like we did the top ones. It's cold. Get started on, and then screw them in evenly. All right, they're both started on with one turn. So I'm gonna crank those in just like we did on the uppers, and I'll be back. All right, well that's on there. That was kind of a pain in the butt. Had to break out the big breaker bar, but as you see, it's attached and it spins smoothly, so that's what we needed. Get a little grease in there and we'll be good to go. All right, so that's gonna do it for the front suspension for now. I'm still needing ball joints, gotta put the springs in, put everything together. I still don't know what I'm doing for brakes up front yet. I'd love to do disc brakes, but they're expensive, so I can find some stock disc brakes that somebody took off. That would be great, so I'm gonna look around for that. But as far as the rest of it goes, the control arms are all done. Just need the upper ball joints. And So yeah, that's going to do it for the front suspension. All right, that's going to do it for this video on putting the rest of the suspension together for the 1970 GMC. So if you like this video, go leave a like down there, leave me a comment, let me know what I can do, what I can do better, and subscribe while you're at it if you want to. So just want to say thank you again for watching. I appreciate you all being here. So until next time, I will see you all later.